Welcome to IBH, Adapting Your Leadership Style When Working from Home. My name is Kathy Ketcher, and I'm the co-founder of Career Life Alliance Services, an organization dedicated to enabling companies, managers, and individual contributors to work successfully from anywhere. I've been doing this important work since 1987, and I've been invited by IBH to share best practices in adapting your leadership style to support team members who are now working from home. Today, all of us are dealing with the heightened sense of stress because of the COVID-19 crisis. There is uncertainty about how long this is going to last. There's uncertainty about our workloads, uncertainty about our jobs. This situation can be even more difficult when you're leading a team. So in this session, I'm going to share ideas about identifying your own leadership style and the pros and cons of that style during this time of individual isolation. And then I'll share some best practices around adapting your style to fit the current reality and what you can do going forward to continue to support your team. There are three main categories of leadership styles that include hands-on, democratic, and hands-off. None of these are any better than the other. They're all useful in the right situation. So let's identify what your leadership style is. Are you a hands-on leader who tends to maintain control and provide a lot of detailed instruction to your team members? Maybe you never fully separate yourself from the day-to-day operations. Well, hands-on leadership is not necessarily micromanaging or perfectionism. If done right, it includes providing regular feedback and responding to employee comments or concerns. Or maybe you're a democratic leader. This type of leadership means everyone is given the opportunity to participate, ideas are exchanged freely, and discussion is encouraged. While the democratic process tends to focus on the free flow of ideas, the leader of the group is still there to offer guidance and control. And lastly, you might be the hands-off leader. This type of leader believes in building proficient teams and then leaving them to their own capabilities to complete their work. Team members are trusted to get the work done in a manner that makes sense to them. Every leadership style comes with its own set of pros and cons, and different work situations, well, it calls for different leadership styles. Today's work situation requires all leaders to step back, and reflect on what is working and what you might need to adapt to support your team. Like all leadership styles, the hands-on leader has their own set of pros and cons that they must adjust in order to fit the situation. They tend to have an insightful view of their team operations. They have a deep understanding of their customer and team members' experience. But conversely, they do run the risk of micromanaging, and team members can begin to feel, they feel like maybe they're not trusted, which can negatively impact productivity and team culture. This could be a challenging time for the hands-on leader because, you can't necessarily see how your people are doing, so you might feel out of control. This is the time for you to adopt democratic and hands-off styles. Make sure you're communicating frequently and trusting that your people are doing what they need to stay productive. Some best practices for hands-on leaders to use at this time are to schedule, some regular team check-ins. Consider coming together for a brief morning team meeting where people, they just share what their goals are for the day, they ask their questions. Check in with your team throughout the day, but not to say, what are you doing, but how are you doing? And do you have what you need to be successful? Now, research has found that the democratic leadership style is one of the most effective types and leads to higher productivity, better contributions from team members, and increased team morale, but there can be some drawbacks, especially around communicating expectations, confusion around that decision-making process, and sometimes team members feeling like their opinions weren't necessarily taken into consideration. During this crisis, the democratic leadership style may not provide the structure and confirmation team members are looking for at this time. So Instead of facilitating a group discussion, now is the time to be providing very specific information, information on expectations, and providing a feedback loop where team members can come to you with questions for decisions, not questions for discussion. The qualities of the hands-off leadership style may seem positive, especially for the team members, because it provides team members the opportunity to show what they can do because they have a lot of autonomy and control of their work environment. So they can be very creative and they can make decisions very quickly. However, there are some elements that hands-off leaders need to be aware of as well. That may include team members not being clear on what they're supposed to accomplish. There could be team members who take advantage of hands-off leaders, or leader actions may be misinterpreted as, oh, maybe they're uncaring, causing internal team conflict and lack of accountability. The hands-off leader usually has a lot of confidence in their team and their team's ability to achieve results. But much like the democratic leader, during these uncertain times, team members need additional structure and communication. As team members settle into the temporary normal, hands-off managers need to lean in and commit to having frequent one-on-one check-ins until they have confirmed that their team members have the tools they need to complete their work. The only thing we really understand about the COVID-19 crisis is there is far more that we do not know than that we do know. But despite all the uncertainty, now is the time to prepare for the journey toward recovery. To help break this into manageable pieces, I have identified 3 phases of COVID-19 that include acute uncertainty, prolonged disruption, and lastly, recovery. No one knows how long each of these will last, but consider these recommendations so you're better prepared when recovery does arrive. During phase 1, acute uncertainty, leaders should host discussions with their teams to understand their unique circumstances and provide empathy. Scheduling more frequent check-ins with your team will provide much needed structure and stability. Remember, use video at this time. No matter how awkward it might feel at first, seeing each other matters. And be flexible and fluid because today we are not people working from home. We are people at home during a crisis trying to get work done. As the crisis continues, people are moving from a reaction mode to kind of a sit and wait mode, which can be very stressful on both the team and the individuals. This is the time for leaders to be very intentional about continuing to build that team culture, recognize individual contributions, develop new team rituals, and take time to really appreciate each other. It's going to be these personal actions that will help the team get through the prolonged disruption. As you and your team prepare for recovery, set aside time each week now to talk about what's working in this situation and what the team would like to hang on to when this crisis is over. Ask each team member to evaluate their own experience and share it with the group. And please understand that recovery is going to mean very different things to different team members. Some people are going to be very happy to return to the office. Others, well, they might be feeling frustrated about having to go and start all the commuting again. Everyone's experience is going to be very unique, and it will be important to go very slowly and show empathy along the way. As I said earlier, none of us know how this is going to turn out, but making time today to be thoughtful about adapting your leadership style and creating better outcomes will go a long way in helping you and your team navigate this crisis. I have given you a lot of ideas about identifying your own leadership style and the pros and cons of that style, as well as best practices in adapting your style to fit the current reality and what you can do going forward to continue to support your team. I hope you found this information helpful, and I wish you all the best as we work together through this crisis.